Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Real People, Real Stories podcast. Thanks for joining to hear another inspiring real life story. I'm Rena, your host, and today my guest is Ronnie. She's here to share a deeply personal journey, one that begins when the last child leaves home. What followed was a grief and identity crisis and the difficult questions so many women quietly ask, what about me? Ronnie's story brings attention to reality many women experience but rarely talk about. The emotional shift of the empty nest, the loss of identity, and the rediscovery of yourself as the life enters a new chapter. Please welcome Ronnie from Bowie.
Hello, Rena. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, nice to have you here. It's a big topic that we will discuss. So maybe can you start from the backstory so listeners can understand how it developed? So as far as I understand, you get married.
Yes.
And you were housewife or you had work or how this started. So little bit of backstory so we can understand how this developed when the last child left the home. Okay?
Yes. Thank you so much, Rena. The backstory is went to college, got married, had 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. And when you're raising them, every woman knows, or at least as young as you can remember, most women aspire to be a mother. I was not an exception. I wanted to be a mother. Becoming a mother was one of the greatest joys of my life. They grew up. Because I have 3, you send the first one to college, not a problem. You still have 2. Then the second one goes. You have 1. And then when the last one left, that was when things really fell apart. For me, though I was married, I got divorced when my youngest was about 3 or 4 years old. So I pretty much raised them by myself, which made things a little bit harder. Because when that last one left, it meant coming back to an empty house.
It's a big job as a single mother to raise 3 children. So I suppose you also worked or had some career, or you were solely focused on be housewife and raising the children.
Oh, if there's one thing that I'm grateful for, that I will forever be grateful for, is that I had a job. I had a full-time career. It's a double-edged sword because when you have a career, it's a big balancing act. You're not just mother, and my heart goes out, kudos, salute to all the stay-at-home moms that were there for their children. People think it's an easy job to be a stay-at-home mom. They have it just as hard as those of us that worked outside. But working outside, I had an outlet. I saw adults during the day on the job, and then back to the house, being mother.
I asked that so it can form my next questions, the follow-up questions. It's great, as you told, that you had job, you could support yourself and the children. You had some outlet, as you told, you could go and work and be among adults for some hours per day. But for you, as far as I understood, it was a very difficult time when the last child left the house. I'm just trying to understand. So although you had your career and job, it didn't help you to process the new stage of your life. You still felt very empty nested, although you had the job and career.
Absolutely, Rena. It does not help at all. The way that I explain emptiness to people from my perspective, there's a head knowledge, something you know in your head is going to happen. As you raise the children, you know they're going to leave the house eventually. Whether that is to college like mine did, whether that is going to a trade school, whether it's just moving out of your house. That's the head knowledge. You know it. You understand it. You are aware. You probably help them pick out the college. In my case, we did a lot of college visits before we settled on one. We did all the applications. So you were part of the process. It did not happen overnight. You were not blindsided. Not at all. That's a head knowledge. The day you take them to school, to drop them off in college, like mine, that's a head knowledge. You know what you're doing. You know what you raised them for, and you were part of it, fully present In most cases, you paid for it, or at least some of it. The heart kicks in when you drop them off. That's when the reality of what you're doing sets in. When you drop them off, and that reality kicks in when you realize nobody's going home with you. You're going home alone. The first few hours, ask any mother that's gone through it, it's so stifling you feel like you cannot breathe. Like this is happening. It's no longer theory. You're no longer planning. Your heart has a mind of its own. It feels the pain. It feels the grief. This is a job that you practice for, you prepared for. In most cases, over 20. My daughter left for college at 17, but because I had the boys, this was over 20 something years. I had done it twice before. I dropped the boys. It was not a problem. But when the last one left, that was when the heart kicks in and it feels like your heart is in your throat. For me, my experience was I could not breathe. I was sobbing like a child, like somebody died. Nobody died. The child just went to college. That was what we raised them for. The first hour, I was driving through tears. I could barely see, even though I had the job. When you come home, there's nobody waiting for you. Whatever you left in the house, whatever dishes you have in the sink, everything now depends on you. It's waiting for you, just you. And as a single parent, I'm sure it's different for those that are married. But as a single parent, there was nobody waiting for me. It was just coming to an empty house. That usually happens over the weekend. So on Monday, when you go to work, I had my coworkers waiting. How was it? I was miserable. I broke down sobbing all over again. So the job momentarily takes your mind away from your problem, your good problem to be sure. But the job takes your mind away for a minute. But guess what? The job is anywhere from 8 to 10 hours. The commute, the head and heart knowledge that you're coming home to an empty house, that kicks in all over again. So it's almost as if the universe is playing a joke on you. Yes, when you go to work in the morning or whatever time your job is, you have that minute of reprieve, that minute of what appeared to be normal. But have you ever gone through any identity shift or end of a role, like the end of a career, the end of a relationship, the end of an aging parent that's now died? You knew that your relationship was not going great. You can see the end. Nothing prepares you. You know that the parents are aging. Some of them are sick. Even you yourself could know in your heart of heart that the best thing for them is to go rest. But what happens when reality actually hits? That is the profound grief that most parents, most people entering the empty nest face. That's the profound grief that we go through. And until you experience it, you can hear it. Your listeners are hearing it. But those mothers that walk through this journey, they know exactly. They feel it. They can feel it all over again.
Thank you for sharing in such detail the stages that you went through during this new stage of your life. It's definitely the situations that, as you told, many mothers are in. It's part of the life. As you told, you knew that the children will live, and from your experience, the hardest was the last one. Now some years have passed. Looking back, would you do something different from your side?
That is such a great question, Arena. Such a phenomenal question. Best question ever. So, would I do something different? Absolutely, yes. I am a little over 10 years into the emptiness journey. It does not feel any easy at all. This is next week. It's Thanksgiving week in America, holiday all around the world. Does it get easy? Slightly, yes. But the pain is still there. The missing them is still there. So, what would I do differently? And this is what I preach about, what I tell the younger mothers. Most parents, and I think this is a generational thing, a generational legacy that all of us need to break at some point in time. When we're growing up as mothers, as women, as girls, we are taught early on that the mothers carry the load. We're the matriarchs. We're the one that keeps everybody together. What that translates into, Rena, is we tend to abandon ourselves. To your listeners, I'm asking everybody, look through your family line. What gifts your mother gave you, what your mother gave up just so you can have. Most parents, some mothers gave up their jobs to keep the family together, just to be home to take care of the parents. A lot of mothers, a whole lot, and that's the generational perpetration that I think we need to break is women tend to put their lives on hold. I bet you there's a listener, there are 10 listeners out there that are bobbing their head, yes, yes, right now. Put their lives on the back burner. We'll put our lives on hold. When you were growing up, every last one of us had dreams. Whatever that dream is. Your dream could be to go to the moon. That was not my dream. Everybody had a dream. But when the kids come, first of all, you fall in love. You fall madly head over heels in love. You see your baby the first time. Oh my gosh. I did this. A human being, 10 perfect fingers, 10 perfect toes. It's love that you've never experienced until you're holding a child in your hand. Or for those people that are pet parents that love their pets, you can appreciate the kind of love that I'm talking about. That love makes you do crazy things, makes you abandon yourself. So women will put all our dreams on the back burner. The men in traditional ways, if you follow traditional ways, are supposed to go out there and be the breadwinner. Well, not so much anymore. It's both sexes, both men and women, that are now working to provide for the family. But for the mothers, we take on this role, we abandon our dreams, we focus on raising them. Whatever it is they need, no amount is too much. I don't know too many women that would not give their kidney. If it were possible to split your heart, we'd split it and give it to our child, whatever it is they need. That abandonment, Rena, is what I want to do differently. It's what I'm telling women differently. It's what I would have done differently. As women, we know how to do the balancing act. We know how to run the household, keep the family together, appear where we need to be, set the doctor's appointment, take them to school, take them to their activities, perform on our job. Even after the family is gone to sleep, we're up there in the kitchen, cleaning the house, keeping things together. Some of us balancing the checkbook, figuring out how to provide. The same way we've learned to do that, I'm telling women what I would do differently that I'm telling my sisters, the younger mothers, the newer mothers, the middle-aged mothers like me, and the older mothers as long as there's breath in you is don't abandon your dreams, especially for the younger moms, for the woman that's getting married, for the one that's pregnant, for the one that just had the baby, whatever stage you're in, do not abandon your dreams. Those children, we will still love them and you will love them. There's no way to cut your love short. Anyway, you love them, but balance your dreams. Yes, you may not be able to fly to the moon for those that want to go to the moon, but keep that dream alive. Right now, I travel. I could have traveled back then. I could have traded with somebody or take them on the journey. I could have done a smaller travel. I could have traveled within the US if I couldn't afford the international travel. I love to write. I could have done my writing when they've gone to bed. We know how to do these things. So what would I do differently? Rena was the question. I would keep that dream alive instead of pushing it to the back burner, instead of pushing it to someday, instead of pushing it to when they grow. And the reason that I say that, those 20 something years that you're raising them, that you put your dreams on the back burner, you cannot recover those years again. It doesn't work like that. Those young years when your knees were still working, when the body was still young, you could have done those travels and walked. Each time now that I travel, I walk 20, 30,000 steps in a day. I am one of the few lucky ones that my body still allows me, my leg still works with me to do that as I travel. I've done over 15 countries, most of them 13 of those solo travels. How many people can do that in their 70s? Some 60s cannot walk that. I'm in my early 60s. I can still walk that. So whatever your dream is, do you want to write? Write. Don't put it on the back burner. Write something. That's what I would do differently. Don't put those dreams on the back burner. Balance it.
This is definitely a powerful advice, but it opens a door to totally new conversation. I ask about your career, about your job. As far As I understood, the job was not your dream, it was just a source for you to provide to your family.
A little bit of both.
Even if you had the job, you
Yes.
still felt empty nested. And now that you started to speak about dreams, I drew conclusions that the job was not entirely your dream, otherwise you would not felt the way you felt. So something was missing. Some things like travel, now you travel and you didn't do it before because you had children and work and you put your dreams aside. What about the hobbies? Or you think that the dreams are higher as a purpose than just doing some hobbies? For example, when the children are asleep, you could write if it's the dream of someone. So what about the hobby? Will be as fulfilling as having a dream?
For me, it came down to source of income. There are those hobbies that you do just for fun with no monetary compensation. I am thankful for the job because it provided for me and for my family. It grew into a career. I worked in information security. It was a career that I had for over 25 years. That every degree, not degree, certification imaginable, I kept improving myself for the job that I loved. The hobbies, there are those hobbies that has gardening. Some people just garden because it brings them joy. My sister would be one of those people. She loves plants. That brings her joys. There are hobbies of writing that people make money off of. There are gardeners actually that makes money off of it. So, depending on what your monetary situation is, if money was no object, a lot of people would do a lot of things differently. So, you need to find that balance of what brings the income in, what is a hobby. So, when I go to the job, have you ever been heartbroken before? Have you ever lost something that breaks your heart?
Personally, me, yes.
Exactly. So even in our heartbroken state, and that was what I said about what I meant about I had the job, I would go to work. That's not the problem. But my heart was still broken. So at that moment, the job helped me, gave me the few hours in the day. But my heart was still broken from missing my daughter, from knowing that I'm coming to an empty house, from wondering at that time, what now? What next? Here's the thing, Rena, that I think will probably clarify it. The question that comes up is, what now? What next? Because that role, the motherly role, the relationship role, whether that's a girlfriend, fiance, wife, husband, whatever that role was, whether it's a caretaker for the elder, whatever the role was, most of us were defined by that role. When they were growing, the role was taking them here and there. You were mom. If you're anywhere and a child says mom, several moms will stop and turn around, even though we know that's not our child's voice. So that was a role. The end of the role was what triggered the grief. The grief doesn't care if you go to work. You're just masking those few hours. And there is no way, I want to be clear because I hear these questions all the time. There is no way to cut the grief short. It must run its course. What you can do differently, and what I advise people not to do, is allow the grief to spiral into depression. It's easy. You could go to work during the day. You could smile, your fake pretentious smile. How are you doing today? Oh, I'm good. You're just saying it because it's a reflex. Your heart is not good. Your heart is aching. You're missing that role. And then you come home. There goes the question. Now what? Is that it? That's the end? What do I do with myself now? So the job helps, but the grief is still there. The next step is to walk through the grief.
Definitely, there are also stages of grief that person needs to go through to find the peace. Yes, I can understand that. What you describe, you cannot make it shorter or it cannot disappear, but you thought like if person has a dream and mother has a dream, it can be easier to walk through this stage. That's
Yes.
what your point. I think it's valuable advice that not everyone might know yet because although there's a lot of information nowadays, but sometimes, yeah, it's goes past us. The point is there is a tool that can help the women in this situation. It is to have a dream so they don't feel so much emptiness as they would feel without having a dream or hobby or something else to do that is fulfilling them.
Well, in addition to the hobby, Rena, most of us during that grief stage, we tend to look inward. We tend to think about, rightfully so, the fact that we're hurting, the fact that we're aching. It's about me. At some point in time, what I advise people to do is turn the mirror around and look outward. What can you do for others? Because remember when we talked about the job is coming back home to an empty house? Well, what about starting to venture out and help somebody else? And I'm not talking about making a big commitment. I'm talking about little things, small things. In every community out there, there's I'm going to call it old people home, but there's some sort of housing for the elderly, some nursing home. There's a hospital that needs helper. There are children's wards, baby wards that need somebody to help. Do something different. Help somebody. Serve somebody. Check in on your neighbor next door. You don't need to go far. You don't need to go international. On your street, I'm sure there's an elderly person somewhere. There's a young mother with children that's struggling. There's a guy somewhere that's lonely. What can you do? What's in your area? Don't start on a big scale because you're going through your own thing. Do you like animals but don't have animals? Volunteer to walk somebody's dog. That elderly sitting, living next door, living down the street, stop by and say hello. Now that we have technology, all of us are busy looking down on our phone. How about you say hello to your next door neighbor? How about you go for a walk? Go for a walk. Take your phone in case of emergency, but keep your phone away from your hand, in your pocket, in your purse. You walk through your neighborhood. See your neighborhood for the first time all over again. Those are the little steps that I tell people. Those are things that I did. When we drive, you don't see much because you're driving as a safe driver. When we walk, it's different. Walk around your house, the things that you haven't seen. What's in your house that you can bless somebody with? All the things that we've accumulated when the kids were home, most of the time, and parents can attest to this, they leave half of those things in your house. Find a useful home for them. Bless somebody else. Be a blessing. Those are ways to get through that grief state. And it's the beginning of rediscovering yourself, even before you get to your dreams. Just those little things.
I fully agree. Those actions are welcome not only on the situation when somebody has emptiness, but overall, that's a tool that helps to strengthen the community and to build the community. And it's beneficial for everyone when you're helping someone. You gain also experience and you experience the world from other side of it, which you not have before. That's definitely, it's very deep topic, volunteering and having dreams and balancing the family and kids. You name the most important and it's very valuable. So thank you for this. Is there some words of advice before we end the episode for the listeners? Think put shortly all together.
Oh, yes, certainly. What I'd like to leave people with, especially the empty nesters or the woman that's over 50, what I'd like to leave them with is this. By the time you hit age 50, there is 99.99999% certainty, guaranteed, that you don't have another 50 years left. However, whatever you have left, I am encouraging every woman out there, every listener actually out there, to make the best of whatever is left, to make it count, to make it be the years that you do what it is you want to do. This is the time that we start thinking about our legacy. This is the time that I'm asking everyone to think deep when it's all over. What do you want to be remembered for? What is the legacy that you want to leave for your children? How do you want your life to impact others? When you were raising children, you didn't have a whole lot of choice. Right now, you have the choice. And I hope you choose to leave a profound legacy that would outlive you. That when you're no longer here, that your children can say boldly, that the people that you have met along the way, they can say boldly and proudly that you made a difference, that you lent a hand, that your being present made a big difference to them. That when they didn't have anybody else to turn to, that they know you were if they had the last quarter, that you were the one they could call. And it's not by doing big things. You don't need to move the mountain. But in one person's life, you could be that mountain mover. That's what I like to leave people with. Make your life count.
On this powerful and inspirational note, we are ending the episode. Thanks for listening to Real People, Real Stories podcast. Join us next time for another inspiring story. Thank you, Ronnie, for sharing with us your story.
Thank you, Rena, for having me.